My next guest sits on the Senate Judiciary Committee and asked Rosenstein her own tough questions. Watch.
The IG caught him lying 3 times under oath. And you've said you did not think he was completely forthcoming. Do you think that Andy McCabe should be criminally charged with lying?
Senator, I don't express any opinion about that. I don't have access to the evidence, and so I'm really not in a position to comment on it. The evidence being whatever information was gathered through the investigation.
Okay, so you have no opinion. If he lied, and we know he lied.
If he willfully lied and it was material and it satisfied the principles of federal prosecution, then yes.
Joining me right now is the woman herself, Senate Judiciary and Armed Services Committee member, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator, thanks very much for your leadership in that hearing yesterday. You were just terrific. Let me get your take about how he answered you. Do you see a break between Rosenstein and Andrew McCabe and Jim Comey yet?
I think that what we have was an insurrection. It was something that was done very quietly. It was done under the cloak of law that they extended to themselves, but not to the citizens that they were investigating. And it indeed shows that there is a double standard. They were content, if you will, with that double standard because it favored them and their goal, which was to take down President Donald Trump. So they were going at this by any means necessary and using all tools available. And Maria, I could not believe that Rod Rosenstein sat in front of us yesterday and literally punted on every question. This is the epitome of weak leadership. He says he was in charge, but he didn't know anything. He was depending on others. So what it tells us is somebody created this plot. Somebody said, go implement this plot, and somebody did the dirty work. And he goes, I didn't know anything. It wasn't me. I just signed off on whatever somebody sent to me, and then so that I didn't have to make a decision and commit myself, I said, let's go get Bob Mueller. That is, in essence, what he told us. Let's give it to Bob Mueller. That buys us time.
Yeah. But, Senator, Bob Mueller was put in place in May of 2017, and even then, in May of 2017, they still had no evidence of any collusion. And how is it possible that the guy who was running the whole thing, the whole investigation, Rod Rosenstein, says he knows nothing when people like John Ratcliffe knew, people like Devin Nunes knew? Here's John Ratcliffe talking to me back in September of 2018. Listen to this. They had informants trying to lure Trump campaign officials to get them into meetings. They had a media leak strategy, apparently, all the while knowing that there was no collusion. I mean, this is just extraordinary, Congressman.
More than 70 witnesses appeared before the House Intelligence Committee. All of them were asked the same question. What evidence do you have of Russian collusion with Donald Trump or the Trump campaign? What evidence do you have of conspiracy? What evidence do you have of coordination? And they batted 1,000 in their response. These are folks like Susan Rice and Samantha Power, senior DOJ and department officials and intelligence and law enforcement officials, and they all said, we don't have any.
How does that happen, Senator? This is America. How does that happen? No evidence of any collusion, and yet that's all we heard about on the media morning, noon, and night.
They had created a narrative. It is exactly like that children's storybook, The Emperor Has No Clothes. They started out with this narrative. They started weaving this web of deception within the FBI and the DOJ. Rod Rosenstein even mentioned yesterday that there were dozens of people that were involved in the Mueller process. You know, it wasn't just him. So now everybody is trying to back up. And this is why today we are going to take a vote to subpoena these people and bring them before the Senate Judiciary Committee. This double standard is unacceptable. I asked him yesterday, I said, if you applied the equal justice component of withholding Brady material, like they finally did when they exonerated the late Senator Ted Stevens, if you applied withholding that material to General Flynn's case, would the charges be dropped? And he agrees, yes. They would. But the problem is they don't want equal. They want a double-tiered system. That's why I asked Rosenstein. I said, you've got your daughters here with you. One wants to be an entrepreneur. Let's say one follows you. Let's say they encounter. What would you do? And the thing is, he would have acted differently.
I saw when you brought that up. So, I mean, when you look at where we are today, I mean, what is the next step here? You're going to do a vote to subpoena, and who do you want to get down there in front of the Judiciary Committee to testify? Who's most important here?
I think we want to hear from Susan Rice. We want to hear from Obama's chief of staff. We want to hear from Biden's chief of staff. We want to hear from Samantha Power. We want to hear from Andrew McCabe. We want to hear from Peter Strzok. We want to hear from Lisa Page. And there are others that are involved in this. We've got a list of about 38 people that we want to hear from. We want to know who all they were surveilling. Who were they unmasking? We're finding out now they wanted to unmask members of the Trump transition. Were they trying to unmask me as I vice chaired that transition team? Were they trying to unmask Vice President Pence? This is unbelievable, and they would never let something like this happen to their friends, but because they hate, absolutely hate, President Donald Trump, they're willing to roll the dice and see if they can get by with it. Their cover-up did not work.
It's the biggest political scandal of our time, which is what I said from the get-go. And there's a whole host of exculpatory evidence I know out there that exists that were not given to the FISA court, were not given to the congressional investigators. So we look forward to getting all of that. A lot to come, Senator. We'll be watching your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Stay safe.